Y'all, when I tell y'all, I had no idea that there was any camera review beef or drama going on until this Monday, the 27th. Man, when I saw some of these videos popping up on my timeline and I was watching them, I was rolling in the middle of the night. I was out here cackling. And I wasn't really going to say anything at first until I saw what I kind of feel like is a disconnect between some of the comment sections and what was being said in the videos. And I really do feel for the consumers at this point, because I saw Gerald Undun's video when it came out. Now, personally, I didn't make any one of those replies because I didn't feel like he was really talking about me. Personally, I think this goes way bigger beyond just content trips. This is actually an industry-wide problem with the relationships that creators and brands have in general, and how this is being perceived by the public watching these videos. And regardless of how we feel as creators, what matters here is that, to an extent, on these platforms, we are here to serve our audience. That's business 101. And right now, the audiences are telling people, hey, I get it, but there's just some things I'm not rocking with. And the reason why I say I don't feel like Gerald was really talking about me is because I'm vocal, y'all, on this channel. Y'all know about the shady contracts that companies try to give people where they're like, oh, hey, you can make this video, but you also can't say anything bad. Like, you have to be positive. And they will get an earful of me in the email back, and I just miss out on those opportunities. That's why I work with very few individuals in general, just because I don't like the vibes of what this industry is. And if I'm rocking with somebody, it's because they've never made me sacrifice my voice or how I feel. Even when we do have review processes, I send the video out, they're like, just go ahead and publish it, right? I love that. At the same time, I understand where creators are coming from too, because, it's a rock and a hard place. You do need to be paid for the content that you make 100%. And I think the audience needs to understand this as well, that sponsored videos should exist because nobody should be working for free. If brands, though, want content that is perfectly curated and only shows the positive side, and here's the issue, that's what your marketing department is for. That's what your C-suite, who you're paying millions of dollars, is for. The beautiful thing, or what it should be at least, being a content creator or even an influencer in that regard, is having the ability to get paid and still have your own opinion, because that's the value that really comes from having normal, everyday people, or just content creators in general who are in the field, right? Or even people in production, because we have it across the board. That's the beautiful thing, and the value of that is that you're getting a real person's opinion, and it shouldn't be bought and paid for. The problem is that people are seeing that either the situations that creators are being put in or the videos themselves are having some type of bias, because you really don't want to sacrifice that relationship. And that's part of the reason why I feel for people who are in this space, who want to get good information, want to get good opinions about camera gear, but at the same time, they have this feeling of they don't know who they can really trust. And when you factor that in with just the very obvious thing that we never talk about on the internet for some reason, that there are a lot of people out there in the world just trying to get by with their dreams and ain't got the money to possibly end up wasting on a piece of gear that they may not need, right? And that's where I feel their emotion and where it's coming in from too, because I've been very blessed and fortunate to have, finally broke through the big uphill battle that it is when you're trying to be a creative entrepreneur, when you're trying to build a photography business, when you're trying to build your production company, when you're trying to get your name out there, when you are just looking for the sources of information to find out the best gear. I remember when I started my wedding photography business in high school, I was being told all the time, the only lenses you need are the 24 to 70 f2.8L, the original, or I think maybe the Mark II, and the 70 to 200 f2.8L Mark II, which I think a couple years later, the Mark III came out, right? And so I was rocking with those lenses in the very beginning, and I never really liked my work. And then all of a sudden, right, I buy a $50 Nifty 50, and I'm all of a like, this is for me, right? But because I was told, and I was young and I was impressionable and I didn't know better, I was buying the things just because The professionals were rocking with them and the professionals were telling me that it was good. And you can make the argument as a content creator, well, it's not my fault. Do your research, but you have to really understand too that there is a very big position of power that you have to come onto the internet and give your opinion, and that there needs to be some care taken with that. And I'm not saying people aren't taking care. What I'm saying again is it's only acceptable until we stop accepting it. It really comes down to us as content creators to start changing the way in which we work with these brands. Collectively, if we just all stopped taking this, collectively, if we just all stopped allowing ourselves to be put in these situations where it's like we may not be able to bring the best, right? I personally just think that that's where we should draw the line. That doesn't mean that paid sponsorships and brand deals and brand trips should not exist. It's just the expectation I think we start setting with these brands needs to change on what you will get out of this. And at the same time, too, I have to understand that even in certain situations, I'm going to have like bias even based off of like emotions around things. Gerald Undone hit this nail on the head. I even think back to going to NAB this year. I only got 2 hours of sleep, but because I was having so much fun, there were so many negatives throughout that time that I don't recall, only because of the feelings and the emotion, the positive feelings and emotions I was experiencing, which is why I had to take a step back, really digest what I saw on top of life going on. But you know, that's what you need to do. You actually need time to digest these things. There's never been a single product that I've walked into and even liked. I mean, that even's the same thing when I think about music. I mean, I even think of the same thing with music. I can listen to an album for the very first time, but unless I listen to it through a couple of times, I may not really rock with it. But the thing that I really want to end this on is for the people who consume this content. And this goes for whether the content's from me or anybody else, because even if I bring the most objective review, right, I'm a different shooter. I have a different style. And so the one thing I can say is this: rent the gear if you can. There's some cine lenses you can't really rent, but if you really want something, the best thing you can always do to protect yourself is to rent it. That's why I'm very thankful that the only lens I ended up buying was actually the 70-200, and it collects dust in my cabinet back there today, right? But I remember before I got the 5D Mark II, I was renting the 5D Mark II, and then I ended up getting the 5D Mark III because it came out. Before I got the 1DX Mark II, I was renting that to see if I actually rocked with it. And that's the best thing you can do, because I get it. Buyer's remorse sucks, and it's really hard to really find something that's not biased. And everybody's going to have some level of bias, regardless of if we're getting paid or not, because we all have our personal preferences, I should say. So that's the best thing you can do. If you're thinking about purchasing a piece of gear, you should always rent it. So guys, those are my thoughts. And to be honest, if there's anything you guys take away from this video, is it's not just even the camera industry. Every single industry right now is really starting to experience this with what feels like the downfall of content creation unless something changes, or I should say the influencer market, because people just aren't trusting right now. And that's because of the economic situation. And if you can't have empathy for one, you're not going to understand it. So with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. If you have not, be sure to leave me a comment in the comment section down below. Come correct, or you will get thrown into the abyss. My beautiful people, now more than ever, if you are ever feeling uninspired, uncreative, or just want to give up on life, remember, every day, airplanes take off against the wind. Keep climbing, stay inspired. And as always, stay fabulous, y'all. My name is Sydney. I'll see you next time. Peace out.